Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are back with another episode of the Stanley Parable. Let's see. Last episode we managed to blow up ourselves and this entire game because we tried to take control and we weren't capable of taking control. And definitely a meta commentary on uh, video games that you can never have full control. We're getting towards the end. So I want to remind everybody the reason why we're doing this Stanley Parable is kind of a comparison of this in-game narrator mechanic versus Bastion's in-game narrator mechanic, and how it is very, very different. Even though it is the same general concept, there's a narrator, it is talking about what the player is doing, except for in Bastion, the narrator stays very much in the world of the game and only says things that the player has already done, whereas in the Stanley Parable, the narrator is very much leading everybody around, leading Stanley and the player around by the nose, telling him what he's going to do before it happens, making a lot of commentary about video games and game design while he's doing it. Very much acknowledging that this is a game and all of that. Uh, we're almost done here. Let's go ahead and start. There's only a few more endings. I want to go back and see what happens when I answer the phone. If you can think back to, I believe, the third episode, and let's go figure out what happens when we answer the phone. Also, let me ask you subscribe and whitelist me or turn off any ad blockers. Help me make a career. Almost forgot that. Now, there would be, at this point, a lot more differences.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
Um,
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
You play this all in one sitting. Even if you're going to take a break or play the 4-hour art ending that we're not going to do, I'd recommend you play it all in one sitting because it does change every time you hit the restart game. Begin the game again here. And it's a little dishonest in the menu explaining what that means, because that is not starting with all the environment variables reset to the way they were. It is just kind of doing version 2 each time, and a few different things are changed. Looking for that awaiting input buttons. We had 3 of them, and now we are back to 1, I believe. Maybe not even 1. I may have to... Yeah, we're back to 0. I think that that's one of the things that changes every time we restart. And because I exited once because the game basically told us that we should quit, which was a mistake, and maybe I should have quit a little bit earlier when it said to quit. Maybe that was my fault, but what can I do? So we're back to 1 awaiting input. As long as I don't quit out and I restart a few more times, I'll be able to fill that up. I think. We'll even make an effort to fill it up.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
For a short time we had a 3rd door, but it always does come down to
This was not the correct
point.
way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well.
2
Perhaps he
doors.
wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left. Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
I tell you, I've worked some jobs where it just really astonished me.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
So here's a meta commentary.
This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
This is like the meta commentary of all of a sudden you have a AI co-op partner and they just come out of nowhere and you're supposed to feel some emotion or feelings for them, when in all reality this is literally the first time the narrator has mentioned this woman, and you don't even know what your relationship to her is.
That's her, Stanley.
Last time I
You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
Now this outlet here is one of the many European electrical outlets, and it really has nothing to do with a phone connection, particularly this old style looking phone. Let's answer the phone though this time and see what happens.
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here. Sorry, but you're in my story now.
So your employee 427, you live in apartment 427, and he can put walls up. Alright, let's come inside.
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
Press RB on your gamepad. I don't even have a game. Well, I guess I do. Press RB on my gamepad.
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
Okay, so I've been playing with the keyboard and mouse, but I do have my gamepad plugged in to use the microphone. And so the game has decided to send me the commands like this, which is a little interesting. That it didn't recognize I've been pressing the keyboard the whole time. Alright.
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
This is a commentary on video games. And I guess I have chosen this life to eat lunch, press buttons, go home, go to work, press buttons.
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful, and each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
Press left trigger to watch TV.
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him terribly.
Spend time with the boys.
So he went further. He imagined that he came to 2 open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
Press A to prepare dinner. Excuse me. So this apartment is turning into the office. Every button press.
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it the Stanley Parable.
So, if this was the first one we had done, would he be spoiling all of this or not? I don't know. Press B to tell your kids a story.
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
Press X to tell your wife you love her. Oddly enough, there is a video game that has come out recently that literally said press X to pay your respects at the funeral of a military serviceman. And it was a little bit of a controversy on just the complete lack of emotional connection there. And they did this first by several years. This game came out.
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
Press RB to go to sleep. Yeah, I've had some jobs.
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer, that as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
Press Y to be at work in the morning. Yeah, I've had some jobs that led to life situations where it certainly felt like I couldn't change anything and I was stuck in a rut. In fact, almost all of them felt that way. But man, doing this YouTube stuff doesn't feel like that. So we're not doing what the screen says, and nothing's happening. So I can just be stuck in this room forever. I suppose, what real choice is that? And I certainly felt that even before I started working when I was in school. I felt like it was very much a drudge of just getting up, going to school, not really accomplishing anything or having any control. So yeah, I can certainly understand a lot what he's saying. But my argument against what he's saying so far is video games are fun and they make me happy. It doesn't have to be any more deep than that.
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
Press RB to question nothing. In a lot of ways, the narrator is making the argument of that I've heard a lot of people who don't play video games, and those are becoming fewer and fewer people, but almost all of them do something. They watch TV, they play sports, they watch sports, they play card games, they play board games, they go to potluck meetings, they attend religious services, they all do something, plays, uh, concerts, and it's all the same thing. Life is about entertaining yourself for sometimes, and how people choose to entertain themselves. No one is better or worse subjectively. It's just what each individual person likes, and I don't know why people think video games are any different that way, and think that it's fair to say that people are wasting their life away playing video games when the truth is people are just always wasting their life away. That's what living is finding something fun to do while it is ticking away. Either you have fun or you don't. At the end of the day, you're going to die at the same point in time anyways. Let's press RB to question nothing. I don't think I've questioned nothing. I've certainly questioned it, but I've come to my conclusions for the moment.
I suppose I can't. Not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I
says, please die. So we just sat there and died. Another strange ending. That's about the third ending that has directly said stop playing video games in this video game, which is rather strange. I guess somebody has to make that argument, since most video games would never bother to make that argument. Uh, but it's kind of silly. It really is kind of silly. Take breaks. Don't play as much as probably I do. But then again, even if you do, make a career out of it. Yep. Like I am trying to. Uh, but yeah, it's a very strange message for a video game to be playing. It's almost like the creators are trying to send us the message that they don't even like video games. So why'd you make one? It's And why'd you make one that looks so good? Usually when people bother to make a anti-video game message, they'll only spend a little bit of effort on it and not think it through as much as this. Uh, on the concept that this is thought-provoking, sure, I'm sure a lot of people haven't thought a lot of these thoughts, but I probably have thought most of them. I've been playing video games long enough. I've heard these arguments long enough that uh, there are certainly people who have come up to me who think all video games, all electronics, all computers are bad, and that I should be playing with a yo-yo and a cup and string and ridiculous things like that, when that's just not the reality of today's day and age. We want more complicated, we want more involved ways of thinking than just the good old-fashioned yo-yo. Nothing wrong with a yo-yo, but it loses its excitement pretty fast. Anyways, that's the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any comments or thoughts you want to supply, I talked a lot during this ending um, while it was happening, directly responding to it a lot more. Uh, if you have a response to my response, put it down in the comments. But we're done with this episode, so as always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos. All that helps me out with YouTube. I have fan funding enabled, so click on my name, Rydo. That'll take you to my main YouTube page. On the right is a blue button that says support this channel. Any amount you donate will be greatly appreciated. If you want to follow me on Twitter or Google Plus or friend me on Steam or Battle.net, all that information is down below. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.